Welcome back, and for those of you that are joining me for the first time, my name is Brooke. I am a Rolfer, a massage therapist, and a hara trainer, and today is a self-care video to help those of you that might be experiencing discomfort in your sciatic area. So the sciatic area is anywhere from the lower lumbar, hip area, glute, IT band, hamstring, back of the leg, of the knee, all the way down to the foot. Anywhere along that line, if you're experiencing pain, you might have an issue in the sciatic nerve. So these strengthening and stretching strategies and self-massage techniques are going to help relieve that or keep it from entering your body at any point in time. So let's get started. You're just going to need enough floor space to lie down on, something comfortable to lie down on, a pillow or a folded blanket or yoga block for your head to rest on. You can use a massage tool if you have something like this lying around that you like to use, or you can just use your hands. I like to use my hands because I'm a massage therapist, but anything like this would be great. So just to get started, as you're listening to me talk, grab your self-massage tool or use your hands, and what I want you to do is just massage out your quads. Okay, so just give them a little love and whatever feels good. Just don't use a ton of pressure. You don't need this to be intense. You just need this to feel good. Okay, so anywhere up along the side of your hip, the front of your hip, and then switch and do the other leg. Just a couple seconds, maybe a minute total. 30 seconds on each side would be sufficient. Go around that knee if that feels good. And then come down and lie on your mat. So you're lying down on the floor, and just give your spine a minute or a few seconds just to feel that gravity. It might feel a little stiff or a little achy, especially if this is the first time that you've laid down today, or even stopped being upright today. So just give that spine a few seconds to settle down and settle in. A few deep breaths is a good idea. Once you feel like you have entered a calming state, we are going to start with the Feldinkris mindful movement for your hips. So where you're feeling the most gravity, right here in this space here, it's this area called your sacrum. At the bottom of the sacrum is your tailbone, and at the top of your sacrum is your spine. So just get a feel for that area, and I want you to paint a clock on the floor right under your hips right here. So the 12 of that clock is going to be at the top where your spine meets your hips. So use your feet, plant your feet on the floor, use your feet and press into the floor, and that's going to shift all your gravity up to that 12 o'clock. You're going to feel your lower back kind of flatten to the ground at the same time. Your tailbone is kind of tucked and coming up towards the ceiling. Once you find that, you're going to let go of that press of your foot, and your tailbone is going to roll, and your lower back is going to lift. And you're going to feel all that gravity going into the 6 o'clock. Once that you have reached that, then just go back and forth and get a feel for it. So when you press with your feet, you are just going to feel that gravity eventually shift. So you're not going to press and force it there. All you're doing is pressing with your feet equally on each side and feeling all that gravity just gradually shift to the 12, then letting go of the pressure on your feet and feeling that gravity eventually shift all the way to the 6. And you can give it a little help by pressing your tailbone into the floor. Once you've accomplished that, then we're going to go to the 3 o'clock, which is on your right side, and the 9 o'clock on your left side. So press your left foot only into the floor, and then feel that gravity eventually fall over to the right. Let go of that let go of that press on your left foot. At the same time, press with your right foot, and you're going to feel that gravity gradually shift all the way to the 9 o'clock, and just wait until it's reached that point. and go back and forth. Once you have those down, you can then move into the stretches I'm going to show you, or you can hit pause here and you can use the press of each foot to find each hour of the clock. I'm just trying to save some time, but finding each hour of the clock with your feet is a really great way to gain interoceptive awareness and to really feel where you're stiff in your hips, because sometimes where you feel pain isn't necessarily where you have restriction. So it's just a good way to have a conversation with what's for sure going on in your hip bone area. Okay. So once you've completed that, we're going to move into the stretches, the hara stretches, and we're going to start with the center hamstring. So this is a pretty popular place for people who are suffering with sciatica to feel pain. So be mindful and careful with this. So what you're going to do first of all is just raise your knee towards your body here and find a good space for it to be. How far away or close feels good. And you feel that in your lower back. Once you found that place, you're just going to raise your foot up a little bit more, however much is comfortable. You just want to make sure you don't lock your knee at all. Keep a bend in your knee. And then stirrup your hands together or interlock your fingers. Create a stirrup and press your hamstring into your fingers and then your fingers into your hamstring. This is your resistance. If you were to slip, then you would go like that. Okay? So find that resistance, and then your fingers, your hands, are going to press your leg towards your body as your leg slows your hands down. Make sure your grip isn't too tough, and make sure your shoulders are restful. Once you feel a little soft stretch in the back of your leg, wiggle your foot, and then press your hands away with your leg. As far as you can reach is fine. You don't have to make big movements here. And then come back, feel that little stretch, wiggle the foot in any way that feels good to you. Don't forget your toes, and then press it away. Hands slow down your leg as your leg presses forward, and then your hands press your leg forward as your leg slows your hands down, and then wiggle your foot. So do this move about 4 to 10 times, however feels comfortable. Make sure your lower back is staying relatively still on the floor. And once you've completed all the reps you want to, switch to the other side. So now that we've done both sides, we're going to move on to a stretch called splits in the air. So same thing that you did with the hamstring, you're just going to bring both knees towards your body. Find a nice comfortable spot for your lower back by moving your knees away and towards you. Excuse me. Once you've found that spot, raise both legs into the air. Keep a nice soft bend in the knees, and then just let your legs fall apart. And then place your hands on top of your inner thighs. These hands are going to be like 3 to 5 pound weights, nothing major. Pick up those weights that are your hands with your inner thighs and then press your inner thighs together as your hands slow your legs down. And then your hands are going to press your legs apart as your legs are slowing your hands down. It's kind of like your legs are holding these 5 pound weights and they're not going to drop them. They're keeping them on your legs, on your thighs, pressing them together. And if you've fallen away from your body and created an arch in your upper back, make sure to fix that. Okay, so just mindfully, slowly stretch your legs out with your hands, resist with your legs. Press your hands together as your hands slow you down. Press your legs apart as your legs slow your hands down. Your hands can be in any position they feel comfortable. Okay? Now, if this stretch felt uncomfortable for you, perhaps you had a pinch in the front of your hip or something, then move on to this next stretch and then come back to this one to see if it felt better. So the next stretch we're going to do is for the front hip area, right through here, also known as the psoas or front hip flexors. So right here is where you're going to feel all the stretching and working happening. You're going to hook your arm around your non-working leg, and that's going to help keep your back solid on the floor. Place your palm on the top of your leg. You can also get a yoga block and place it here if you feel like that would be helpful for you. And you're just going to pretend like your hand again is like a 5-pound weight. And then your straight leg is going to lift that 5-pound weight up as far as is comfortable for you to go. And then you're going to gently lower that 5-pound weight down, doing your best not to drop it. Keeping it up, but lowering it down. I also like to pretend like this is like a hot cup of tea, possibly, or maybe a puppy that is balancing on my leg. And I'm just lifting it up and lowering it down, remembering to breathe, and I'm just getting a little length out of the front of my leg. You can wiggle your toes a little bit if you feel like they're becoming too rigid and helping too much. Keep your toes nice and fluffy, and remember to breathe. And then switch sides and do the other side, same thing. Now feel free to go back to the splits in the air and try this out and see if it feels easier or more comfortable, or if you feel that stretch better. It feels pretty good. Okay, so once you've done those, then we're going to move on to the holy grail of stretches. So this is, you might have seen this one before, but make sure you follow along. This stretch is going to get the IT band and the glute area really good. So just create a figure 4 with your legs here. You're going to place your right ankle on your left knee, and then you're going to interlock your fingers behind your left hamstring. So now press your foot into your knee into your foot. If you were to slip, it would do that. Once you have that press, you're just going to do a nice, comfortable ab crunch. Okay, you're just going to curl up and just look in the window that your legs created. And with your inhale or exhale, lower down. Do this first just to make sure that you're comfortable and that nothing is painful. If you would like a deeper stretch, then as you bring your head forward, you can also pull your knee towards you as your foot slows you down. That's the resistance you're holding to make sure that you're not going to overstretch. Then push your knee away from you as your knee slows your foot down and your head lies back down again. Keep your belly engaged but soft and comfortable. Make sure you're not crunching up in your shoulders like I just was. And just go back and forth a few times, either moving your legs or keeping them still and just moving your head, whichever feels best. And then switch it up. And then after you've done all 3 of these exercises, was it 3? I think it was 4. All 4 of these stretches, go backwards and do them again, and you will see how they've changed. So after this one, maybe try the splits in the air one more time and feel how that's changed from the very first time and the second time you did it. And then after that one, try the hamstring one again and see how much more movement you have, how much more comfortable that feels. And then try the front hip flexor stretch. Feel that one out, see if that feels a little more floaty, and then just kind of go back and forth. And that, my friends, is how you treat your IT band, glute, low back, hamstring, leg from being in pain or from getting pain. Thank you so much for joining me.